Picture this. A monk is standing in a cold stone cellar in northeastern France. It's 1668. Around him, wine bottles are exploding. Glass is flying. Wine is spraying the walls like something went terribly wrong at a vineyard. And he is furious, not celebrating. Furious, because all of this, is his greatest professional failure. His name is Pérignon, and he has devoted his life to destroying the very thing you now spend $60 a bottle to drink at weddings. The most celebrated drink in human history was invented by a man who considered it a catastrophe. So how does that happen? Let's go back. The Abbey of Hautevillers sits on a hill above the Marne River in the Champagne region of France. In 1668, Brother Pierre Pérignon was handed the keys to its wine cellar. This was not a minor job. Wine was how the monastery paid its bills, fed its monks, maintained its reputation. Mess it up and you weren't just embarrassed, you were broke. The standard for prestige wine at the time was Burgundy, smooth, still, rich, controlled. Bubbles were not a feature. Bubbles meant your fermentation had gone wrong. Bubbles meant you had lost. If you handed a nobleman a fizzy bottle, it was essentially handing him a note that read, "I don't know what I'm doing." Dom Pérignon understood this completely. His mission was clear. Make wine the Burgundy way, still, elegant, prestigious. Kill the bubbles. But the bubbles kept coming back. The reason why came from somewhere he never would have thought to look. The Champagne region is cold, genuinely brutally cold in winter. And that cold was doing something bizarre to the wine inside sealed bottles. Fermentation. Yeast eating sugar, producing alcohol and CO2, would simply stop when temperatures dropped. The yeast didn't die. It went dormant, waiting. Then spring arrived. Temperatures climbed. The yeast woke up, shook itself off, and got right back to eating. But now it was inside a sealed bottle with nowhere to send the CO2. Pressure built and built until the bottle became, functionally, a grenade with a cork. The monks had a name for this. Le diable dans la bouteille. The devil in the bottle. Think about that for a second. The thing Dom Pérignon was fighting wasn't bad winemaking. It was physics. It was winter and spring doing exactly what winter and spring are supposed to do. Nature itself was his enemy. And every year, without fail, nature won. The destruction wasn't minor. In a bad spring, up to 90% of an entire cellar's stock could be gone. Not spoiled, gone. Shattered. One bottle would explode, the pressure wave would hit the next rack, and you'd get a chain reaction tearing through hundreds of bottles in minutes. Months of work. Years of reputation. Just gone. Cellar workers weren't just annoyed, they were genuinely in danger. Flying glass from a pressurized wine bottle travels fast and sharp. So workers developed a solution that looks, in retrospect, absolutely unhinged. Iron masks. Thick-visored iron masks that looked like something a medieval executioner would wear to a hockey game. This was standard equipment. For the Abbey of Hautevillers, this wasn't an inconvenience. This was existential. Every exploded bottle was money the monastery didn't have, debt it couldn't repay, credibility it couldn't recover. Dom Pérignon was not fighting a quirk of nature. He was fighting for his abbey's survival. Which is why what he did next was so completely, accidentally brilliant. Dom Pérignon's response was obsessive and methodical. If the wine was going to behave unpredictably, he would control every other variable. He started blending grapes from multiple vineyards, different slopes, different soils, different ripeness levels, to create a more stable, consistent wine. This was radical at the time. Winemakers didn't do that, invented it out of desperation. He also started importing thicker glass bottles from England because the local French glass kept shattering. English coal-fired furnaces produced glass genuinely strong enough to hold more pressure. He adopted cork stoppers from Spanish pilgrims passing through the region, replacing the oil-soaked rags most winemakers used to seal bottles. Here's the irony. Every single innovation Dom Pérignon developed to kill the bubbles was actually the perfect tool to contain them. Stronger glass that wouldn't shatter under pressure. Cork that sealed tight enough to trap carbonation. Blended grapes that produced consistent, beautiful flavor. He was building champagne. He just thought he was building a better Burgundy. Now, you've probably heard the quote, the famous one. Dom Pérignon rushing up from his cellar shouting to his fellow monks, "Come quickly, I am drinking the stars." It's perfect, it's cinematic, it's on merchandise. It is also completely made up. Historians have searched thoroughly. There is zero, not limited, not disputed, zero contemporary evidence Dom Pérignon ever said those words. The quote first appears in an 1821 advertisement for a champagne house. That is 106 years after his death. Someone in a marketing meeting invented a saint and handed him a catchphrase. The French champagne industry had a product they needed to sell to the world, and they needed a story. So they built one. A brilliant visionary monk who tasted his creation and wept with joy. The real Dom Pérignon died in 1715, still frustrated, having never fully solved the problem of secondary fermentation. The stars were not what he saw in those bottles. But here's where it gets interesting. While the monks were tearing their hair out over exploding inventory several hundred miles away, people were actively requesting the broken product. English aristocrats had gotten hold of the fizzy French bottles and they loved them. The defect had become the feature. The court of Louis XIV was the same. Fashionable, powerful people were specifically asking for the bubbly wine. The embarrassment had become the luxury. Winemakers across Champagne were sitting on a product the market desperately wanted, actively trying to eliminate it, while aristocrats wrote letters asking for more of the thing they were desperately trying to stop making. The monks kept suppressing. The nobility kept demanding. This bizarre standoff between producer and consumer created an entire underground market for sparkling wine. Chaotic, inconsistent, wildly unpredictable, until one person figured out how to actually control it. And she did it after everyone else had given up. Nicole Bar-Plicot was 27 years old when her husband died in 1805 and left her a failing champagne house. She had no formal training, faced an industry that did not welcome women, and inherited a product that was still fundamentally unsolved. Because the yeast sediment collecting inside bottles made them cloudy and unappetizing, beautiful bubbles, disgusting appearance. She fixed it. She developed a technique called riddling, slowly rotating and tilting bottles at increasing angles over weeks, coaxing the dead yeast sediment down into the neck against the cork. Then, freeze the neck, pop the cork. The frozen plug of sediment shoots out. Seal the bottle again before the bubbles escape. Clear, brilliant, beautiful champagne. Every time. Veuve Clicquot, the widow Clicquot, which is what her label means, didn't discover champagne. She industrialized it. She solved the last unsolvable problem and made consistent, scalable production possible. Dom Pérignon laid the foundation without meaning to. She built the building on purpose. One is called the father of champagne. You can look up which name is on the bottles. Here's the thing the champagne origin story never tells you. Dom Pérignon's actual goal, the thing he was genuinely trying to accomplish for 47 years, was to make Champagne's wine taste more like Burgundy. He wanted to eliminate every quality that made it distinctive, the bubbles, the complexity from blending, the controlled carbonation. He failed. Completely. Without exception. But in failing, he built every technical innovation champagne needed to exist, the blended grapes, the strong bottles, the cork stopper. The drink that now defines celebration, luxury, New Year's Eve, victory, love. It exists precisely because one obsessive monk spent nearly 5 decades losing a battle against nature. Champagne is not the product of someone who loved it. It is the monument to someone who desperately didn't. Go back to that cellar. Hautevillers. Late winter, 1680-something. It's dark. It's cold. Somewhere in the racks, pressure is building inside thick English glass, sealed with Spanish cork, filled with wine blended from 6 different hillsides. In a few weeks, when spring arrives, some of those bottles will explode, and Dom Pérignon will walk down here and see the damage and feel like he lost again. He didn't know he was winning. Almost nothing transformative in history was anyone's plan A. The stars he never said he was drinking were there the whole time, forming in the dark, under pressure, in bottles he built to contain his own failure. He just refused to look up.